What is up, everybody? This is Prepared Militant Chef coming at you for the first time in a hot minute. Um, got to go do a little bit of training today. Um, but I've been super busy. So no videos. So just a quick rundown. In the last month, what has happened? Right at the time of this recording, um, Putin threatened nukes again. He also said that there was going to be another world war, and it was going to be Muslims versus the West, and he was taking the side of the Muslims. Um, Almost a month ago, several hundred, I think like 1,400 Jews were killed on the holiest day of their calendar, and ever since, Gaza's been getting shelled pretty hard. Talking about spending money over there. Um, we've got two carriers in the region. Um, some people speculate that that is because when Israel pops off into Gaza, we're going to pop off into Iran. Um, the holidays are right around the corner, so food is going to be a little harder to get. I think it'll still be mostly available, but um, question, right? And if you pause, if you're not watching this in a time where any of that makes sense, right? So if you're watching this like mid 2024 or after the 24 election or 2085, like whenever, pause, write down like all the weird crap that's happened in the last little bit. Alright, so you've unpaused. Um, how did that affect your preparations? So here's what I think more than likely happened with most preppers. You open up your magazine and you're like, gonna get land. Gonna get land in a house and a chicken coop. It's great. It's great. Best thing we did. Best thing I ever did was get out of Norfolk. I was living on top of multiple military targets, surrounded by just people. But now I live not surrounded by military targets, and I live in small town USA, and it's amazing. All right, but you're looking at your magazine, and you're like, land, and someone's like, they're gonna drop a nuke, and you're like, oh my god, they're gonna drop a nuke. What do we do? You stop looking at land, which is a goal, and you take your prepper funds, right? If you're budgeting, which you should be, and you go buy a widget or a doodad or something, right? You buy another weapons light for another rifle, or you buy, you know, um, this one pill that only works. What is it? KO3, which like we have on the way, right? Like we recently ordered some. Um, and what you did was you had your plan, right? You had your budget, you had your plan, and you were going and you were going and you were going and wah, right? You went wah, and like you're way off over here, right? You're way the heck off course. So you took your $100 or your $1,000 and you addressed a very specific issue, which For some of you, might be the right decision, but for most of you, it's not. So I'm gonna just be real personal with you for a second. Our goal is 7 years. Um, Before anybody pulls any weird theology out, we're traditional Baptists. Um, we are not Hebrew Israelites. We are not Torah observant. Um, I do not believe that. Sorry, I do not believe that we will have to live through the second coming or the tribulation, right? Like, if we see any of that, it's going to be a very small part. So 7 years has nothing to do with what's happening in Revelation. Okay. 7 years is just historically a really bad famine is 7 years. Historically, a really bad financial disaster is 7 years. And quite honestly, when we get to about 6.5, I'm gonna maybe start pushing for 14. And the reason is, what if there's a horrible financial situation followed by a famine, or vice versa? So here's what we do. We plan for the power to go and stay out. Okay, I want you to let that sink in. If the power goes and stays out, refrigeration's down. Getting gas at the gas station is down. Cooking with your electric stove is down. Cooking with your propane stove will be down at some point, right? Depending on how much fuel you have in your propane tanks. Depends on how long, right? Your water will be down, okay? Because of pumps and, right? So, effectively, if electrons stop, life as we know it stops. Okay, so we prepare for that. Because how are we going to get water? How are we going to get food? How we, right? And a lot of those hows can be used for other situations, right? Also, every so often we ask ourselves, how can the power go out? Okay, so if the power goes out, hey dude, I need you to stop. Say hi to the camera. Now go over there. If an EMP pops off, and that's what causes the power to go out, yes. Now all of a sudden, you need that iodine, potassium stuff, right? And it does change the plan ever so slightly. But if you have general preparedness down, you can then very easily handle specific preparedness, right? That's what we're talking about. So, also if the power goes out, my guess, 30 days, there's gonna be a lot of dead folks. How do we bury said dead folks? What is it? The cycle of grief, right? Denial, anger, sadness, depression, all that stuff. When grandma dies because that machine that keeps her alive goes out, that's gonna affect the way that people act, right? And this thing that I'm filming this on, I got a feeling that when the power goes out, this not working, it's gonna drive a lot of people through a psychological and mental tornado. And so now all of a sudden you have a lot of emotional people So now security becomes a really big issue, right? Um, if go back to the EMP popping off, EMP pops off. Um, it might get a little bit more violent, a little bit quicker. Um, it might get a lot more violent, a lot quicker. Um, if the power goes off because I don't know, China flicks a switch. In this part of the country, um, we are very red. We are very conservative. Um, very conservative is different than very Christian. I think that's something to notate. Um, I do think that we would tribalize very quickly in that circumstance. But you still have to figure out a way to get water, how we're going to address food, how we're going to address medical. All of those things are still at play. Okay. And let's say China flicks a switch and then they flick it back on. Okay. But then they ration things. Okay. Well, our plans can still be used. Maybe not the same level, maybe we alter some things, but we have that plan, we have those supplies that we've been storing up, and now we are still operational and quicker than the vast majority of society. Pick a way that the power can go out and address that as you're building your stockpiles for the power to go out, right? So having all the potassium iodide stuff doesn't really help you if you don't have any food. Being ready for makeshift gangs to come down your road doesn't really help you if you don't have a way to get fresh, clean water. Okay, so we work on our general path, right? And for us, it's 7 years. For you, it might be 6 months, right? And as we get closer, then we address the little hows, right? How does this pop off? And when you and doing that is really important, because in doing that and thinking about, okay, this political party won, they know how you voted, they're cutting your power off. Okay, now we're thinking, right? So, who do we trust? Who do we not trust? Do we do this? Do we do that? Those are all really important, and instead of thinking about them, you should write those down. You should write those down. You should make a storyline. You should edit it, and like figure out how you really think things should happen, or how they might happen, is what you should be doing. And then figure out what those supplies are, figure out what those techniques are, figure out what those skills are, figure out what those policies are. I am wearing, I'll show you, blue jeans and a chocolate chip BDU jacket. Why? Because it's a little windy. It's actually really cold. But this and this in combination is nobody's uniform. Right? So maybe lots of these, or vice versa, right? Maybe M81 Woodland Pants and a black tee or a buffalo plaid long sleeve shirt is how you identify yourselves amongst each other when it's time to go turn power back on. But we don't address that issue after the power's been turned off. We address that issue now while we can still go to the store and get the things we need and sit down with calm, level-headed people. I am telling you as a combat veteran, nobody is as calm while getting shot at as they are when they're drinking a cup of coffee. Well, my uncle that was in an A-team that I can't talk about, he has been through 11 million gunfights. And he is a much calmer person when you're not around. Right? But seriously, like, let's write these things out, address these things, how we think they're gonna go, and just go from there. Right? Stay the course, do the right thing, take care of your family on a day-to-day, but honestly and truly, don't get super sidetracked on what's on the news. Really, don't watch the news. Right? Stay the course, get your preps in line, get your skills in line, get your policies in line, get your protocols in line, and get ready to take care of the people you love. And the dog, Teddy, stop. Yeah, get ready to, start being a man now. Take care of the people you love today. Get ready to take care of them tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. And don't have prepper ADHD. Deuces.